The U.S. president threatens tariffs on Canadian potash. Transit workers prepare to strike if the city reduces their budget. And a treacherous Tuesday on Saskatchewan roads.
Live from our studios in Regina, this is CTV News.
Good evening. U.S. President Donald Trump is targeting another Canadian commodity with tariff threats, potash, a big export for Saskatchewan. The comments came during an announcement on supports for American farmers yesterday, but experts say the move would have a negative impact for agriculture on both sides of the border. Sierra D'Souza Butts has the details.
A lot of it does come in from Canada, and so we'll end up putting very severe tariffs on that if we have to.
U.S. President Donald Trump suggesting the country could impose tariffs on fertilizer exports from Canada in an effort to support American producers. Thus, despite a significant gap in potash production between the U.S. and Canada, according to Stuart Smythe, who specializes in agriculture and resource economics.
The U.S. produces about 400,000 tons of potash per year, compared to Canada around 13 million tons, and we export half of that to the U.S.
He adds the move would be felt by farmers and consumers on both sides of the border.
If it was really there and it was that economical to be in production, they would be producing it and drawing on their own domestic supplies rather than going through the higher cost of importing it from Saskatchewan.
When comments like this come, we take a breath, take the president seriously. Don't always take him literally, word for word with respect to what he says.
The Saskatchewan government says it continues to work with countries internationally, aiming to not rely on the states as its sole trading partner.
Let's remember as Canadians what we're actually trying to negotiate here, which is a broader replacement for or update to USMCA.
In a statement to CTV News, the Saskatchewan Mining Association says U.S. farmers depend on Canadian potash and Canadian farmers depend on U.S. phosphate. Potentially imposing tariffs will increase costs for farmers, strain supply chains, and ultimately raise food prices for consumers.
Given that we export about 50% of our potash to the U.S., I think, like most things, it would be very difficult to pivot in a few months.
The Saskatchewan Mining Association says it will continue to engage constructively with policymakers to support predictable trade. Sierra D'Souza Butts, CTV News, Regina.
The provincial auditor is calling for better collaboration between the Global Transportation Hub and the City of Regina on major developments at the GTH. It follows a review by the auditor into how the city and GTH competed against each other as the location for a new Costco store. As Wayne Mantica tells us, it ended up costing taxpayers nearly $7 million in subsidies.
Work is progressing on a new Costco warehouse in Regina's West Terra neighborhood after the city paid a $6.78 million incentive to attract the project. Costco had proposed to build nearby at the Global Transportation Hub, where land was cheaper. The city made up the difference through an incentive. That prompted a review by the provincial auditor, who concluded that there should have been better communication between the GTH and the city.
Who are the various parties that they should be collaborating with when they're making decisions to potentially, sell land and there's going to be development at the hub.
The auditor concluded that better communication could possibly have led the GTH to saying no to Costco.
It's important, and that's why we're recommending that they do formalize what those procedures look like, because otherwise there is the potential that additional costs may have been avoided if some of this collaboration and those procedures had been better defined.
The auditor did not review the city's actions because that would be outside the mandate of her office. The NDP blamed the provincial government for its part in what happened.
Stay in your lane, provincial government. There's one taxpayer, and that's the people of Saskatchewan.
The Global Transportation Hub says Costco made the initial approach for land and was offered property at the going rate.
We accept the auditor's recommendation on this. Obviously, when this came out in May of last year, I was actually appreciative that this audit happened.
The provincial auditor found it acceptable for the GTH to try attract both retail and warehouse developments, but in consultation with any affected municipalities. Wayne Mantica, CTV News, Regina.
Facing a nearly 16% property tax hike, city councillors will debate and eventually approve its 2026 budget starting on Monday. But today, some added drama. City transit workers say they are ready to strike should council cut service and potentially jobs during their deliberations. Donovan Mace has the latest.
Regina transit workers are ready to hit the picket line should council slash its way through the service at next week's budget debate.
We're really shocked and surprised to know that the city is even thinking of doing the cuts.
According to the union, 83% of its workers are in favor of strike action.
Our members, they need more job security, they need safety, they need wages increase too. And it's not only affecting our members now, it will be affecting whole community who's getting benefit from this transit, who rely on transit.
Now it comes after city administration provided nearly 140 potential service cuts in its forecasted budget, 16 of which are directly tied to Regina's public transit and paratransit, from halting the extension of services council already approved to reductions in overtime, late night, weekend and holiday routes. Now, according to administration, if council were to approve each cut related to transit, it would save the city more than $12 million, but 49 full-time jobs would be lost. And in response to CTV News, the city says it values its employees and remains committed to achieving an agreement that balances the needs of staff with the interests of residents and of taxpayers. When the budget was released in November, acting city manager Jim Nichols said administration is not suggesting any of the cuts.
We don't do this lightly. We're not taking any joy. We're not making any professional recommendation to do that. We were tasked to say, how would you find $68 million in a budget that is tight and that the public is expecting services?
The union believes Regina should be investing in transit, not chopping it. It's on the council floor.
We want an extension of the services, not the reduction of the services. We need more hours. We need more frequency of the buses. But it's going totally in the wrong way.
City budget deliberations begin Monday and are scheduled for at least 5 days. Donovan Mace, CTV News, Regina.
Well, there are no highways closed at this moment, but there are several roads in southern Saskatchewan. That includes Highway 1 just east of Balgony that are labeled as travel not recommended on the highway hotline. Jacob Carr has more on what cities and highway officials are doing to ensure roads are safe to travel.
A heavy dose of the white stuff in southern Saskatchewan has forced city officials to go into storm mode to keep roads safe for travelers.
Storm mode focuses on keeping roads drivable and improving visibility in areas prone to blowing snow. Crews will focus on plowing and controlling ice and high-speed and traffic roads, as well as emergency vehicle routes, streets on the perimeter of Regina.
Weyburn city officials say the city has been hit hard with freezing rain, making the roads nearly untravelable. They're also taking proactive measures to make streets safer, such as snow plowing and sanders, but the city is asking its residents to stay indoors if possible.
The streets are pretty bad around town. We've asked folks, stay home if you can, only essential travel around the city and obviously outside of the city for sure. But I want to try to keep the streets as empty as we can.
The treacherous road conditions extends to highways around South Saskatchewan, and the Ministry of Highways implores drivers to be mindful and use their highway hotline resource as a guide when planning an outing.
Anytime during the winter, we always remind motorists, check that highway hotline before you head out. And if you do head out on the road, check it again before you return, because this is Saskatchewan. Weather can change on a dime and conditions can change rapidly.
The Saskatchewan RCMP says they received over 45 weather-related calls for service in a 14-hour span on Tuesday and are advising motorists to delay travel if road conditions are poor. But as cities, government officials, and the RCMP work to make sure to keep residents and roads safe. Some in the province use the icy conditions to their advantage. According to the RCMP, these weather conditions are expected to continue throughout the week. Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.
right, Sabine is here to soothe your mind on these weather conditions. How much longer can we expect this, Sabine?
Well, we still have warnings in effect right now for parts of southern Saskatchewan, Lee, but we will see a break as we head into tomorrow, and then there's more snow on the way. So I guess it's getting us ready for what's to come. I mean, in the winter, it's not officially winter, but the season is here. As you can see behind me on our warnings, in the southwest, we currently have some flash freezing warnings in effect. Obviously, we saw some well above seasonal temperatures dropping drastically as we head into this evening, causing, of course, all that slush to freeze quickly. And then over in the southeast, we have some wind warnings, and in the Parkland, we're seeing some snowfall warnings, which I do expect to start to lift as we head into tonight, because that system, as you can see on the radar satellite, slowly heading towards into Manitoba. So we should start to see that lift. But as soon as we see these warnings lift, it's going to be the wind chill that is going to be the story of the day as we head into the weekend. We're going to see some temperatures with the wind chill in the minus 40s. Today wasn't that kind of day, but I'll talk more about the wind chill coming up in your full forecast. Lee?
Yikes. Thanks, Sabine. Regina Humane Society is reminding people surrendering animals to do so during working hours after a litter of 11 puppies were left outside in conditions like these at Harper Landing. The 7-week-old puppies were dropped at the donations entrance in a tote, sitting for 2 hours in minus 11-degree temperatures. They were dropped off at 5 a.m., and a staff member did not find a box till 7 a.m. the same morning. According to the Humane Society, all 11 puppies are doing fine and are currently being checked out for medical issues.
Fortunately, you know, the fact there were 11 was probably good, because had there been 1 or 2, they would have felt the effects of that cold much more quickly. It could have gone a different direction. If they had upset that tote somehow and the lid came off, they would have been completely exposed to the elements. We're on a fairly busy street with Parliament Avenue. Had they made their way there or around the corner in our parking lot, we could be having a very different conversation today.
The Humane Society says that encounters like this are not ideal, as it is dangerous for animals to be left outside, but it also can be an issue for space and documentation at the Humane Society. A Quebec man arrested last week in Regina in connection to a grandparent scam is also facing charges in Saskatoon. Police there say between November 24th and 27th, they received 5 reports of victims being defrauded of more than $45,000 by someone claiming to be a grandson of the victims. The suspect claimed he was involved in a crash and needed money to get out of jail. In each case, the victim provided between $5,000 and $26,000 to a different person who went to the grandparent's home. 50-year-old Cyprian Theodore is charged with 5 counts of fraud and breaching court conditions. He is one of 2 people that were charged last week by Regina police following similar reports of people being scammed into Queen City and White Butte. The man accused of killing a woman riding in a vehicle on a highway near Weyburn made a brief court appearance today. Chris Fallman, accused of second-degree murder in connection with the death of Tanya Myers on Highway 39 just outside Weyburn back in September. Initially charged with manslaughter, Fallman was denied bail after a hearing last month. Appearing today in Weyburn Provincial Court, his matters have been adjourned until December the 18th. Inclusion Saskatchewan is raising concerns about students with disabilities being excluded from education, saying new information gathered from school divisions across the province shows just how often it's happening. Stacey Hine has more.
Inclusion Saskatchewan says students with intellectual disabilities are still being left out of the classroom, and that the lack of data has made the issue hard to track. So it began collecting information on how often students are excluded from class.
The numbers were shocking, but they also did prove what we were noticing from people that call us for advocacy support.
After obtaining information from 18 of the province's 27 school divisions, Inclusion Saskatchewan found about 1 in 9 students with intensive support needs were excluded from school on a part or full-time basis last school year. It says some students were sent home when support workers were unavailable, while others were put on altered schedules, attending school for as little as 30 minutes a day. It says the main drivers were funding decisions, staffing shortages, behavioral support gaps, and barriers in accessible transportation. The Saskatchewan Teachers Federation says the findings reflect what it has been hearing from its members.
Primarily around the lack of resources that are available in school to meet the needs of all students, especially those students who have significant challenges.
The Saskatchewan School Boards Association says the report confirms some of what divisions already suspected.
We do know that we are working very hard as school divisions to provide a more inclusive environment for all of our students, and that there's still work to do.
In a statement to CTV News, the Ministry of Education says, quote, ensuring that every student has access to education is a priority of our government. It says it recognizes concerns about students' experiences and is committed to working with school divisions to provide every opportunity for students to succeed.
So many are committed to the concepts of inclusion, but we have a very large and complex system. And so I believe that together, when we collaborate and we get creative, we can find some solutions for these students.
Stacey Hine, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Greetings, everyone. The Canadian Western Exhibition has always been a place to celebrate the roots and future of agriculture in Canada, including the country's first peoples. At this year's event, 2 days were focused on Indigenous agriculture. Success stories were shared from across the country, illustrating where the sector is heading.
Indigenous producers, entrepreneurs, industry pros, and academic members gathered at the Canadian Western Exhibition to discuss Indigenous agriculture opportunities happening across the country. Some of the major ideas behind these initiatives: building food security and food sovereignty during a significant time in Canadian agriculture.
We have the best innovations and the smartest minds right here at home. So there's a lot of talk of agriculture abroad and agriculture around the world, but at the end of the day, we're in the mecca of agriculture in the world right here.
This is the 12th edition of the Indigenous Agriculture Summit at Agribition, held as a 2-day event for the second year in a row. The expanded time frame, leaving room for agenda topics like land and business management, grazing and buffalo repopulation, and more.
For the Canadian Western Agribition, this is a really important, I find this year they've really tried to accelerate what this looks like. And, you know, this year we've implemented as part of the Indigenous Ag Summit to have tours to go down through the show, to go down through the barns, to really start having those conversations on what can it look like on our land.
There are a number of Indigenous ag operations happening across the country, all ranging in size. A significant piece of information being shared is the economic growth opportunities these operations can achieve.
Right now, you know, we're probably sitting at about a 1.5 billion GDP miss by not harnessing Indigenous agriculture as well as it could be across the country. And this 2 days gives us an opportunity to get that platform of industry, academia, to really come together to accelerate and build the ag industry as a whole.
The Indigenous Ag Summit was presented by FCC alongside NCIAF, all with the intention of helping Indigenous communities get into agriculture.
We want to see more, you know, opportunity, more education, more programming, more access to capital for that economic empowerment, and you know, getting our next 7 generations educated to really leave this land as better than how we found it.
All people. If you have a story you would like to see in this segment, here's how to reach us. You can contact me by email, and you can also watch past episodes and segments of Indigenous Circle on our CTV Regina and CTV Saskatoon websites.
Indigenous Circle, brought to you in part by Saskatchewan Indigenous Enterprise Foundation, growing the First Nation entrepreneurial spirit.
After the break, the Liberals voted down a Conservative motion to reaffirm pipeline support. Plus, why a new American security strategy has allies like Canada concerned. Federal Conservatives failed to vote in the House of Commons today, aimed at promoting an oil pipeline to the BC coast.
We're having a vote here. We're having a vote. If a member...
The motion asked whether Liberal MPs support the construction of, quote, 1 or more pipelines, and also asked to modify the tanker ban on the West Coast. The wording came directly from the Memorandum of Understanding between Alberta and the Feds. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre even amended the motion to include engagement with BC and Indigenous ownership, but left out industrial carbon pricing. All Liberal MPs voted it down. The new U.S. national security strategy released by the White House is raising some concerns among Western allies. The document weaponizes trade to, quote, restore American preeminence. Judy Trin is taking a closer look at Canada's reaction and why some security experts are viewing this as a hostile document.
3 government ministers present to announce a nearly $3 million investment in military satellites.
These are not just defense assets, they are nation-building assets.
The satellites will be built and operated in Canada and used to surveil the Arctic and potential incursions from foreign threats.
It will be operated here from Canada by Canadians, so it really is a sovereign capability.
The technology will be used as part of NORAD, North American Air Defense, even as the Trump administration pulls back support of Western allies in its new national security strategy. The White House document calls for the U.S. to restore American preeminence in the Western Hemisphere and demands other nations make the U.S. its partner of choice while discouraging collaboration with others.
We are 2 sovereign states. And what the United States of America chooses to do through its national security strategy is its choice. What we intend to do here with a new Canadian national security strategy is our choice.
Why do I think it's dangerous?
Canada's former ambassador to NATO says the strategy could be viewed as hostile, that it lumps Canada in with Latin America, positioning it as a vassal state existing only to further American interests.
It's a kind of coercive economic nationalism throughout the region, focuses on buy American. We're going to push out competitors out of your markets because we're going to be the preeminent power in the region.
The 30-page document only mentions Canada once. The strategy seeks to weaken China, but also calls for Europe to stand on its own 2 feet. The Kremlin says the American security strategy aligns with Russian policy. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
Air Transat has canceled a second wave of flights as the clock ticks towards an early morning deadline for its pilots to go on strike. The union, representing 750 pilots at the airline, issued a strike notice over the weekend, meaning they could walk off the job starting at 3 a.m. tomorrow if a deal is not reached. Air Transat says negotiations are ongoing after improved offers were made last night. Amendments were proposed to gaps in Canada's criminal code today, with reforms directed at keeping kids safe and protecting victims of gender-based violence. Abigail Bidman outlines the changes to the Justice Bill and why it's so significant.
That happened on Mother's Day 2003.
A survivor of attempted intimate partner femicide, Nneka McGregor feels lucky she didn't end up a statistic. In 2024, 187 women in Canada were killed violently.
I've spent the last 2+ decades advocating for a lot of the changes that have been proposed today.
McGregor says the Liberals' new legislation goes a long way to end gender-based violence, especially the move to make femicide classified as first-degree murder and a new criminal offense for certain types of coercive and controlling behaviors to help stop abuse before it's too late.
We have an opportunity to better protect kids who are at risk of exploitation and to address very real concerns about violence against women, including violence that could be fatal.
If passed, C-16 will restore a dozen mandatory minimum penalties previously found unconstitutional, but also give courts some discretion to order shorter sentences to address the problem of potential charter infringement. The bill also makes it illegal to distribute deepfakes without someone's consent.
Unless you do XYZ, then I'm going to share that with your family. I am going to post it to all of your friends. And, children are rightfully terrified.
This cybersecurity expert says the bill closes a critical loophole and legislation is long overdue.
The delay in introducing this law has had a profound effect on kids.
There is some overlap from the beleaguered Trudeau-era online harms bill, namely the requirement for internet service providers to notify police about any child porn. But the Justice Minister says this isn't a copy and paste. He hopes to have the support of all parties to pass this bill. It's not yet clear if he will. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Coming up, it's day 6 of the 12 Strays of Christmas. Tonight, we introduce you to a cuddly cat named Emerald.
Competition is heating up inside the MasterChef Canada kitchen. Watch the episode tonight at 8 right here on CTV. Join me tomorrow morning when we talk to the latest eliminated home cook.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at what your forecast is looking like heading into this evening. A lot of the warnings have lifted. But they were still seeing some of those warnings. They've just switched up from the winter storm warning that we were seeing yesterday, and now we're seeing a bit of a mix of warnings as we take a look at what's to come heading into tonight. In Regina, we did actually warm up to about just below zero, -1 earlier today. However, currently we're sitting at -10 with a wind chill of about -22. Winds are still gusting up to about 60 right now. So the winds are expecting to gradually calm as we head into the evening, and it does in fact look like our snowfall warnings now have lifted for the Parkland as that system continues to make its way into Manitoba. We still have the wind warnings down in the southeast and in the southwest, seeing those flash freezing warnings. So those are going to continue as we head into tomorrow, where we will see some relief, especially from the wind, and the temperatures expecting to even back out around that average for this time of year. Now, we do still have more snow on the way, so as you can see, that system clearing out tonight, and then as we start tonight into tomorrow, we will be left with a mix of sun and cloud for most of the day. But as we continue throughout the day, by the afternoon, we can see that system developing a high pressure system that's going to bring the snow band right from the north all the way down to the south. We're going to see it mostly starting in central Saskatchewan, and then we'll continue to see the snow band moving towards eastern Saskatchewan. Again, the Parkland expecting to see some of that snow. And then as that system's moving, you can see in the southwest there, Maple Creek area, rain expected to come through. Eventually, we'll see it transition from rain, freezing rain and snow again in the southwest. As of right now, it looks like Maple Creek could see the bulk of that snowfall accumulation making its way through. And of course, we're going to see that snow band or the system with the snow continuing to make its way through the rest of the province as well. So we're not in the clear completely when it comes to snowfall. Expecting more snow tomorrow, mostly in the afternoon, and then again Thursday afternoon before that system clears out by Friday. Now, then we're left with clearer conditions, but frigid temperatures starting Thursday night into the weekend. I'll show you that in a second, but this is what we're expecting for snowfall totals by Thursday morning. Up to 15 centimeters expected in Maple Creek. Trace amounts for many other parts, especially in the south and southeast corners there, but 5 for Assiniboia, 4 for Swift Current. So we'll continue to see those types of snowfall totals between now into Friday, and Maple Creek looking like close to 20 centimeters between now into Friday. Temperatures, though, is what I want to talk about, because that's where we're going to start to switch from the snowfall into these temperatures. You can already see tonight -28 for La Loche. Tomorrow, we will see cooler than average temperatures. Average low daytime highs usually hovering around about -8, -10. -10 usually further up in the northern parts. But as you can see right across the board, our temperatures will be much cooler than our seasonal, but much warmer still in the southwest. +4 expected for Maple Creek tomorrow, -2 for Swift Current, -8 for Moose Jaw. The southeast back into that seasonal range, -12 for Weyburn and Estevan. And then for Regina, tonight, -22, warming to -12. The winds won't be as high, actually, not up to 70 kilometers an hour, but we will still see winds probably gusting up to about 40, 45 kilometers an hour. Temperatures, though, you can see that abnormal trend where we'll see -12 expected for tomorrow and staying within that range as we continue throughout the day, but it's not until Thursday night. -10 during the daytime. Thursday night, -24 with a wind chill expected of -39. Friday, -24, wind chill of about -35, and that -30 wind chill value staying into Saturday, and it won't get better until we get into Sunday, -13 with some light snow expected. By Monday, -10 with a mix of sun and cloud, winds returning there, and by Tuesday, warmer than seasonal, -2 with a mix of sun and cloud.
Christmas continues. Today is day 6, just 6. Don't say the next number. We don't need to get that started. But today we have a wonderful cat, and if you've ever wanted to go to maybe Seattle, it's known as the Emerald City. You can't get there. Maybe the next best thing is to get a cat named Emerald, which is who we're highlighting today. Candace joins us now from the Regina Humane Society. And Candace, what can you tell us about Emerald?
Yeah, so Emerald is an absolute delight. If you're looking for that low-key cat that's going to just cuddle up with you but still keep you laughing with his quirky antics, he's your boy. He also has the funniest little tail I think I've ever seen. It's just an awkward length, but he is just a delight. He's only 3 years old, so he's got tons of life left in him, and I just can't get enough of him. And also, he is so soft, so he'll make a great cuddle buddy.
Oh, he's very soft. Okay, and then so it's just a smaller tail then.
I know. Yeah, it's like usually you'll see them like really short or like a regular tail, but his is just like this odd shape. Maybe camera shy. Oh, baby. He's like, no, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I want to get out of here. But for somebody, maybe what kind of family or maybe just what kind of person would maybe fit best for Emerald? A 3-year-old cat who's looks fairly quiet since we've been talking in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, so as long as your home doesn't have cameras, you'll be thrilled. Honestly, I feel like he could integrate into really any household, as long as you're not expecting, a goofy, happy-go-lucky kitten. I think he'd be perfect. He's probably still going to be very playful in his home, but he's not going to be, as energetic as a kitten. He's kind of in his adult chill phase, like I am. So if you're looking for a cat that just wants to cuddle up on the couch with you and keep you laughing when they play a little bit, he's the perfect guy.
Now, just wanted to mention Emerald. We'll try to get Emerald adopted. We've done pretty good so far when it comes to the strays of them leaving the Humane Society. But I did want to touch on something that happened last night regarding puppies that were abandoned at the Regina Humane Society. They were abandoned essentially before opening hours, so they were out in the cold. What can we say to the public? I mean, this is something you do take in animals, but during working hours, leaving them outside in cold is extremely dangerous.
Yeah, we never ever want to see animals being abandoned, right? I mean, we're living in a world where it's cold. You never know if these puppies are going to squeeze out of, the container or what have you that you've put them in. And of course, the weather, right? You never know who's going to find them and when. And with all of that said, call us, talk to us, let us help you and kind of give you some guidance. We might not be able to take them immediately, but our team is great. We'll work with you to try to find a time for you to bring them in so that we can be sure that we have the capacity to support their care and give them the best outcomes possible. But we, of course, want to help you as well. And it was especially sad because there was a little note on the abandoned puppies that said their age and that I'm sorry, I love them, So it's not that these animals aren't loved. It's just that people don't necessarily know what to do. It's just call us. That's what to do. So tell your friends.
Yeah, and the veterinarians there have done a really good job of making sure that they're healthy, and it'll take some time. They'll eventually be available, but not yet. It'll take some time. But who is available is Emerald, and if you are interested in Emerald, for sure, you should call the Regina Humane Society. Thanks for doing this, Candace.
Thank you, Lee.
12 Strays of Christmas, brought to you by Flooring Superstore. Quality flooring at great prices.
The Riders re-signed the league's most outstanding lineman, plus the CFL's 2026 schedule is released. Details next.
Wardrobe consideration in part by Colin O'Brien Men's Shop.
CFL released its 2026 schedule today, and the defending Grey Cup champion Riders have a bye week during the opening week. They'll actually open the season June 13th against BC, where the team does plan to have a special celebration of the franchise's 5th Grey Cup victory. They'll put that banner up. Riders have 2 preseason games, one in Calgary on May 18th. That is the earliest game ever for the Riders, and one at Griffith Stadium on May the 23rd. It's the first time since 1991 that the Riders will play a game in Saskatoon. As for the regular season, Riders will have 10 home games, although June 26th, they will be considered the road team as BMO Field in Toronto is hosting the World Cup, forcing the Argos to play elsewhere, and they chose to come here. 4 of the Riders' 10 home games are on a Saturday, 3 on a Friday, 2 on a Sunday, and 1 on Thursday. The Riders will play everyone twice except the BC Lions and Edmonton Elks. They'll play those teams 3 times. To see the full schedule, you can head to our website, ctvregina.ca. Now, coming off a season where he was named the best lineman in the CFL, Jamarcus Hardrick will be back in Ryder Green next year. The 35-year-old offensive lineman started in all but one of the Riders' regular season games in a comeback season from a major injury that ended in a Grey Cup championship, a perfect year for him. This will be his third season with the Riders. Hardrick allowed only 17 pressures on 579 pass blocking snaps all season. That's why he got that award. Riders also announcing today that fullback Albert Owachi has also signed a new deal. Well, two Saskatchewan WHL teams in the midst of losing streaks will meet up tonight in Moose Jaw.
At the blue line, shots broken up. Schmidt moves it up ahead. Lakovic coming down the left wing side. Shot! Scores! Oh, baby!
Warriors have lost 3 in a row. The Saskatoon Blades are winless in 5 straight. Moose Jaw has won 2 of 3 against the Blades this season, led by captain Lyndon Lakovic, who has 29 points in 22 games. Puck drop at the Temple Garden Center is 7 o'clock. However, weather is impacting the SJHL. Games in Yorkton and La Ronge tonight have been postponed due to the conditions. Well, as the National Lacrosse League season gets underway, the Saskatchewan Rush are looking to return to the finals after that heartbreaking 3-game series loss to Buffalo last season. Hallie Mandrick has more.
Last season, the Rush just missed tasting victory, losing in Game 3 of the NLL Finals. Now they're back, starting off with a win against Calgary and hoping to carry the momentum back to the National Lacrosse League Cup with the hopes of winning it this time.
We have that attitude of rock, chisel, hammer on our team. Just keep grinding and good things happen.
The Game 3 loss in the championship series has perhaps left a chip on their shoulder. Returning players from the Rush last season say that memory will serve as fuel this year.
We thought we had the team to do it last year. We brought everyone back, and that's the goal this season. It's pretty much championship or bust, I think.
Much of the roster from last season is still intact. One key piece of the puzzle is Zach Mans, who says that consistency on the roster will be useful heading into this season.
We feel good. We have that playoff experience. We returned pretty much everyone on the entire team. So we have some building blocks to build upon now, and we're excited to play this season.
It's a sentiment that Coach Keenan agrees with.
They really like the hard work part of it. That's one thing. I also think they're a real tight-knit group, and they all get along really well and respect one another. We have really good leadership. And that starts with being a good teammate.
The Rush are on the road this weekend, heading to Ottawa to face off against the Black Bears on Friday, and their next home game will take place on December 20th. Hallie Mandrick, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Still ahead when it comes to housing in Saskatchewan, the demand heavily outweighs the supply.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at what your rural forecast is looking like heading into tomorrow. We can still expect some snow, not until we get into the afternoon for some of these areas, including like Melfort to Spiritwood, Meadow Lake, starting to see that snow later in the morning into the early afternoon as that system will continue to make its way eastward. But temperatures will start to cool a little more than what our seasonal temperatures for daytime highs could be during this time of year. -15 for Melfort, Spiritwood, and Meadow Lake, -8 for Outlook, and -6 for Kindersley. Hudson Bay Wynyard will not see the snow until later in the evening, but -16 for Hudson Bay tomorrow, mostly cloudy. Wynyard -13. And then when we get closer to the southern border, some areas like Maple Creek will have a nice above 0 day, +4 with a mix of sun and cloud, but snow expected throughout much of southern Saskatchewan as well. Temperatures closer in that seasonal range. Assiniboia -6, Coronach -6, and then Broadview, Carlisle, Kenora all won't again see that snow until later in the evening. If we take a closer look at Etonia, located about 200 kilometers northwest of Swift Current, -3 tomorrow with a wind chill of -9. Expecting snow throughout the day tomorrow. Could see about 1 to 3 centimeters of snow with the winds up to 40 kilometers an hour.
Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe is touting the province as one of the most affordable places to live. Moe was addressing members of the Saskatchewan Realtors Association during their annual State of Real Estate Conference in Saskatoon today. Moe says the province and feds need to work to increase the province's overall housing supply as a small supply of homes on the market continue to challenge the industry. In fact, Saskatchewan Realtors Association President Chris Goret says, an example in Saskatoon, there are hundreds more realtors than there are actually homes to buy right now. Take a look at the farm markets. Canola street price is up $3.80 to $559.12 per ton. The futures price also up by $6.70 to $631.80 per ton. Amber Durum wheat stayed the same, $282.27 per ton. Red spring wheat moved up 15 cents to $246.47 per ton. Feed barley the same, $213.59 per ton, while flax, $626.04 per ton. As for the stock markets, TSX up 74 points, the Dow Jones dropped by 179. The Canadian dollar went up 0.04 to 72.20 cents U.S. On the commodity front, gold up $17.58. West Texas Intermediate crude down 55 cents. Western Canadian Select crude down $1.34. So gas here in Regina stays the same. It's sitting at $1.29.9 cents per liter.
Microsoft will invest $7.5 billion in Canada over the next 2 years to build out AI infrastructure. That means expanding data centers and upgrading the technology to handle advanced AI processing. Microsoft is also committing to keep Canadian data secure. The company says this is part of a $19 billion spend in Canada from 2023 to 2027. The U.S. president has now approved the sale of the H200 NVIDIA chip to China, but only to approved customers. The chip is a generation behind the company's more advanced Blackwell chips. Still, there's concern it'll give Beijing an edge in the AI race. And Washington will get a cut of NVIDIA sales to China. Canadian clothing company group Dynamite reported stellar earnings. Profit for its latest quarter came in at $81.5 million. That's more than twice what it was in the same period last year. The company owns Dynamite and garage stores that cater to teens and young women. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
Coming up tonight, E-Talk right off the bat, followed by The Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory. Kind of sounds huge with that. MasterChef Canada, Traders Canada, so a couple of reality shows, Canada Style, and The Weakest Link. Oh. Goodbye. Actually, she was a long time ago. Is it Jane Lynch that hosts it now, I think?
Oh, I don't know.
Find out at 10. The CTV Your Morning Saskatchewan Bundle of Joy campaign is back, collecting for families in need this holiday season.
Yeah, the fundraiser is collecting diapers and baby wipes this year in partnership with Carmichael Outreach, which supports individuals facing hardship. Organizers say donations have been crucial to helping babies and families in need.
We have little babies in our lives, and nobody wants to see little babies who are just kind of born into those circumstances have to deal with it. So to see the public response be as positive as it has been with the donation of diapers, it's really nice to be a part of a community and live in a community where people support really good causes for very positive things.
Donations can be dropped off at Suds full-service car wash up until December 18th.
There you go. Go get your car washed and deliver some diapers.
Yeah, sounds like a good thing.
Way to finish that off. Coming up, Christmas dad joke for the
There we go, yeah.
Why is Santa so good at karate?
Chops. I don't know. I think karate chop.
Because he has a black belt.
Oh, that's lame. No.
Crane kick.
No, didn't like it. No.